There is something extremely important happening right now for both the Solana price and the Ethereum price that I need you to be watching incredibly closely, especially over the next week or two. And so in today's video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what this thing is that is happening, why it's so important, and what exactly you need to be watching out for. So we have a good bit to get into today, so let's not waste any more time and let's jump straight on in. Now, in order for you to understand exactly what is happening with these two cryptos, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw it out for you because I think that's going to make it very easy to understand. Okay. So sometimes in the world of crypto, a cryptocurrency's price will pump and then it'll start doing this. Okay. It'll start creating something that looks a little bit like this. And this usually can take a couple days, weeks, or even months to create. Now, in the world of crypto, this is called a descending parallel channel, and it'll look a little bit something like this. And what you'll notice is that cryptocurrency will really respect this descending parallel channel. It'll bounce off the top and the bottom and the top and the bottom, and it'll do a whole lot of this before usually it breaks to the top side. It has like an 80 to 90% chance of breaking to the top side. So not always, but very frequently. Okay. Now, sometimes though, this isn't how this goes. Sometimes here in the world of crypto, what will happen is a cryptocurrency will just break to the bottom side of it. And now again, it's uncommon, but it does happen. And in those moments, I'm not going to lie, that's not a good thing. You don't want to see that happen because it's not normal. It's not what's common. So the second that something uncommon happens, it starts to bring up a whole bunch of uncertainty and people get worried and volatility enters the market and so do emotions. And it's all just ugly, right? It's not fun. And so you always need to be on the lookout for moments like this because that's when you can start to expect some chaos to really ensue. Well, in the moments though, whenever this sort of move does happen and a cryptocurrency does pull to the downside out of a descending channel, the good part is that it actually has a decent sized chance of finding some support outside of that channel and re-entering back into it. And when it re-enters back into it, as long as it's capable of just staying in it, usually it can continue on about its merry way and then eventually break out towards the upside. So this isn't immediately like a death sentence, right? Whenever you see the price pull to the downside, it's just very important that it finds some support as step number one and stays in the channel as step number two. Because listen, if it say finds some support, bounces back in, then falls back out again, man, I've only seen that happen a couple times and I'm not gonna lie, it gets kind of rough. Like when that happens, things usually can get pretty rough and you'll usually see some pretty big capitulations. So again, in this instance, and this will all make sense in a second as well, I'm explaining to you, when a crypto breaks towards the downside, the first thing you need to see is it finds some support, as step number one, and step number two is it needs to stay in here. Usually when it's trying to stay in here, step number two, it'll kind of go sideways around the bottom, it'll try to find some support and then push back up towards the top side, and that'll be your confirmation that this was just a fake out and that we're now officially back in the channel. Okay, and now the reason why I'm explaining this to you, the reason why I'm drawing this out is because right now, both Ethereum and Solana are in step number two. They both fell out of their channels. They both found some support. They both used that support to get back to the top side. But now they're trying to decide if they're going to stay in the channel. And as I'm sure you can understand by now, whether they do or don't stay in this channel will have a massive impact on their price. If they stay in the channel and push towards the top side, I think, again, they can eventually break towards the top side and give us some new highs. But if they fall out of these channels, guys, it's not great. I'm not going to lie to you. You guys know I don't come on here to try to lie to you. I'm not a perma bull. I'm not a moon boy. I'll be honest. It ain't great. Okay. And so now that you have a general understanding of that, let's take a quick look at what's going on with Ethereum and Solana, because I'm sure the picture will be much clearer for you now. Okay. So what we can see is that yes, Solana's price had entered into a descending channel, putting in multiple points of resistance and attempt to break out there, multiple points of support and attempt to break out here. Okay. And so, of course, because of that, it created this descending parallel channel. Now, naturally, Ethereum was doing its thing. It put in the swing highs and the lows and the highs and the lows and the highs and the lows. And we were actually doing a pretty good job. We made some decent cash on this by accumulating the lows and taking profits at the highs. That's what my strategy says, right? But what was interesting is that on that Friday that everything went to shit, we saw Ethereum's price just absolutely nuke to the downside, send it through this descending channel all the way down to these macro levels of support. But what you can see is that Ethereum's price was able to build up some support real close to this key zone of support right here and use that support to break back into the channel. So remember, that was step number one, and that was a great move by Ethereum. It pushed back into the channel. But what's interesting is that now we are in step number two, and ETH is giving us very mixed signals right now. Because as it's entered into step number two, it's trying its best to stay in this channel and push up, but what you can see is that it's just not gaining much good momentum. Every time that ETH's price is pushed up, it's gotten rejected back to the downside. came back down, tried to push up, gotten rejected to the downside. You see how we tried to break through this halfway point right here and we failed yesterday? That's just a sign to show that the bulls are very weak right now. And that although they did a real good job, they fought their butts off to get us back into this channel, they are really struggling to stay in this channel right now. And that doesn't mean for sure that Ethereum's price is going to just nuke out of it. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that the battle is on and that things are getting real juicy right now for the Ethereum price. And you really need to be watching very closely what happens here in step number 2. Because if ETH's price does say get rejected first off of this red zone right here, then it comes back up, it tries to push through this 50% line right here. It gets rejected off of that, comes back down and breaks out, not good. That means that we started creating higher lows, we started creating another downtrend, we lost steam, we lost momentum, the bears picked up strength and they nuked the price downwards. That could send ETH below $3,000. I know you may not want to hear that, but it absolutely could happen. But gladly, I don't particularly think that's what's going to happen, okay? And I'll talk about what I think is going to happen in a little bit here, but I want to show you Solana first because Solana is in a very similar spot. Do you see how Solana's price came all the way towards the downside? Well, actually, I know it doesn't show it here on this wick, okay? This wick looks like it's at the very bottom, but what actually ended up happening was that Solana's price wicked just below it. So it came back down, and on many charts, Solana's price was capable of seeing around $155 to $156. So Solana's price, just like Ethereum's price, put in a wick below this descending channel, eventually recovering back up into it. Now, in both of these examples, what is a good thing that I forgot to mention is that the daily close that happened on those flash crashes was back in the channel. So some analysts would say that the breakout to the downside never even happened. I don't look at it that way because I've come to realize that when a wick penetrates the bottom side of one of these channels, the perceived likelihood of a breakdown is much higher. And so I take those wicks into consideration. And so knowing that Solana's price did this and knowing that Ethereum's price did this, I take it into consideration. I go as far as to say that this was a temporary breakout to the downside, okay? And so what we can see, though, is that Solana's price was able to recover back into this channel, push just like Ethereum, back up towards the red zone before coming all the way back down, bouncing off the green zone, and now currently getting rejected off the 50% line. Exactly like ETH. Look at this. ETH's price pushes up to the red zone, gets rejected, comes back down to the green zone, 50% line, getting rejected. Solana, red zone, back down, green zone, 50% rejection, okay? And so just like Ethereum's price is trying to retain and trying to remain in this descending channel, just so is Solana's. And you need to be watching very closely because this step number 2 is so important. What we want to be seeing from Solana right now is that its price is capable of breaking above that 50. In an ideal world, pushing up into this red zone. Because if it can push up into this red zone, not get rejected off of it like it did here, not get rejected like it did here, but push into this red zone, the same thing for ETH, push into this red zone, even if it doesn't break out, that doesn't matter. What it means is that we were able to rebuild that support that we were previously establishing and use this support, just like we did back here, to push back into the strength and push back into the resistance. And that's the goal here, okay? And I actually think that Solana and Ethereum have a higher percentage chance right now of pushing into these red zones than they do actually breaking to the downside. Sure, they might come back down to the green zone. I don't really care if they come back down to the green zone. That's cool. I like to accumulate in here. I'm fine with that. I'm more thinking that I think they both have more of a higher likelihood of pushing into this red zone than they do nuking out the bottom side of these zones. Now, my primary reasoning comes from the fact that 1, it is just more common. It's more likely for Solana and ETH to push back into the red zone than it is for them to break to the downside. 1. 2, liquidation support that thesis. If we actually go look at the liquidation charts right now, both Ethereum's price and Solana's price have more liquidations and a substantially higher amount of liquidations to the top side. Sure, they could come back down a little bit. For example, if Sol goes to 182, it would have a lot of liquidations. So Sol pulling back down here is fine. ETH pulling back down here is fine. Again, I don't care about that. But when you look at the macro picture, they both have a lot more liquidations to the top side on the 30-day charts than they do the bottom side. And what that means is that the lizard people, the market manipulators, would benefit more greatly from the prices pushing up than they would from the prices pushing down. And so because of that, I think when you align these two things together, they both have a decent sized chance of pushing to the upside. So I'm not super concerned that they're about to both just nuke out of these channels and put in these massive lower lows, but it is a threat. And it is a threat you need to take incredibly seriously, because if things start to show signs of weakness and we start to pull back, that could be what's on the way, okay? So I'm going to keep you updated as this all plays out. But the best thing that you can do right now is draw on your channels and watch them very closely. If you want to do some buying, I personally would be doing some buying in the green zone. The green zone here for ETH, the green zone here for Solana, because historically speaking, in descending channels, these are the best times to accumulate. For example, over in the school, I announced that I was buying Solana at right around $3,700 just because it did dip into that green zone. And as you can see, well, that purchase has actually held up quite well. I bought some Solana at $3,700 right here, And as it did, of course, happen, we saw Solana or Ethereum's price, break up from that $3,700 level. So if you want to accumulate, accumulating in the green zone is fine. I think that's one of the best times to do it, but just be aware that there is still a threat that ETH and Solana break through these zones, and that purchase that you do might just go negative almost immediately. So be very careful. I don't think doing much right now is a good idea. Sitting back, waiting, and watching is the best thing to do. Now, if you don't know how to draw on these channels, let me give you a quick tutorial on how to do it. What you're going to do is you're going to head to TradingView and you're going to get this tool right here, the parallel channel tool. And you're going to first and foremost draw your parallel channel through the top side there, just like this, okay? Boom. Let's go in and draw it in just like this. And it'll be a little bit off again because I'm just going to do it fast, but you'll get the point here. Okay, let's do it just like this. Boom. So what you want is your tops to connect and your bottoms to connect. So do you see how whenever I go in, you have your tops that connect, boom, tops connecting, and then of course your bottoms connecting, and you can see the clear support being established. That's the goal. So that's the first step. Now the next step that you're going to do you see this dotted line that goes directly through the middle of the channel, where you're going to take another parallel channel and you're going to draw in another parallel channel following that dotted line and bring it down to the bottom. And so what that's going to do is it's now going to create your bottom half. And do you see how in that bottom half there's another dotted line where you're going to go in one more time and you're going to draw in another descending parallel channel on that dotted line. And the reason you're going to do that is because now if you turn that bad boy green, it creates the bottom 25% of the descending parallel channel. And now all you got to do is just do the same exact thing for the top side. Take your descending parallel channel, follow this 50% line and bring it upwards. Boom. And we're just going to make this one go back to gray, just like this. Boom. And now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the descending parallel channel and follow this dotted line right here in the top half, just like that. And you're going to make this one red. And now that gives you your red zone and your green zone. Your red zone is your sell zone. Your green zone is your buy zone. And just watch it closely. And let's see whether or not both Ethereum's price and Solana's price can maintain within these descending parallel channels or not, because it will have a massive, massive, massive impact on their prices going forward. And of course, I'll keep you updated as it all plays out. And so I will let you know that going forward, if you ever have any thoughts, questions, concerns, or if you want extra info from me, if you join the crypto school, which is linked down below, you have access to me all the time. You can ask me questions. We do workshops, seminars, we have coaching sessions. I post everything that I'm buying and selling, and so do the other coaches. They have workshops, they have courses. There is so much available, and it's all in the crypto school down below. So if that interests you, what I want you to do after this video is head to the link down below, go check out the crypto school, and let me know what you think. But keep a very, very close eye on these descending channels, because they're going to have a massive impact on Solana and Ethereum going forward, and you need to be prepared for it. And again, as per usual, I'll be here every step of the way, updating you as it plays out. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.